All right, it is now time to do our NFL predictions for the divisional round, the second round in the NFL playoffs. I will do a recap of Wild Card Weekend. Now, before I get into it, the way we did it is I'm making predictions along with my 18-year-old son, Ethan, my 15-year-old son, Brady, and my 6-year-old son, Lincoln. Now, Brady, my 15-year-old, he won the regular season with the most points. But we started over the playoffs, and we'll get into Wild Card Weekend. And I will tell you this, that Lincoln, my youngest, my 6-year-old, he ended up winning the week. He got all the picks right until Monday Night Football. And I'll recap here. We've got, I had 20 points for last week. Every game we get right, you get 5 points. If you happen to get, if you pick one and everybody else picks the other team, you get double points. Lincoln had one or two of those. He ended up winning the week, 30 points. Brady at 25, Ethan and I at 20. All right, so now we're going to make our predictions for this week. You have the Buffalo Bills traveling to Mile High in Denver to take on the number 1 seed Denver Broncos. I kind of went with my heart here instead of my head, and I went ahead and went with Buffalo. But Ethan, Brady, and Lincoln all have Denver. Of course, Denver, number 1 seed, had an amazing season. And, Buffalo, they always find a way to lose, but I went ahead and went with them this time. I'll be honest with you, I don't think their team is as good as it has been the last couple of years. It isn't because of their seeding. They didn't get the number 1, number 2, number 3 seed. I think they were seeded at 5 or 6. But Buffalo has the experience. They got Josh Allen, and even though Denver had a great year, they're still a young team. They overproduced. I didn't expect them to have the number 1 seed. I don't know if anybody did. So I'm going to go with the upset here. I kind of went back and forth on this. Everybody else takes Denver. I'll go with Buffalo. And then we move on to the Saturday night game. You got the San Francisco 49ers taking on the Seattle Seahawks. I watched the last week of the year. These guys played each other. And I'll be honest with you, Seattle looked a lot better. The 49ers have had a lot of injuries this year. The fact that they're even here, the fact that they were competing for the number 1 seed in the NFC is huge. Amazing coaching because they did have a lot of injuries. Purdy, I think, was like 8 weeks. They still have some injuries, though. George Kittle's now officially out, so he will not be playing. They have some other injuries as well. However, Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, he's injured now. He will be playing, from what I read. I just don't know if he's 100%. And, Darnold, he's kind of up and down when it comes to these big games. So this game could be a lot closer than I anticipate. After watching the last week of the year, I thought, Seattle, they're gonna roll. I don't know that it'll happen. Ethan and Lincoln, they picked the 49ers. Brady and I went ahead and went with Seattle. Now, when we made these predictions, I had no idea Darnold was hurt. Could have been a different prediction, but I'm going to stick with it. I'd like to see Seattle win here. 49ers, Packers, Eagles, Steelers are teams I can't stand. I'm a Cowboys fan. I like the Colts. I root for the Ohio teams because we're from Ohio. I also like the Bucks because I got Central Florida ties. There's a few other teams that I kind of like the Raiders and the Vikings, but they're not my favorite teams. I don't have any shirts or hats or nothing like that. There's some teams I like. There's some teams I can't stand. Pretty much everybody else, well, besides New England, pretty much everybody else that's left in the playoffs, I don't mind. And then we move on to Sunday. You got the Houston Texans taking on the New England Patriots. New England would be one of those teams that I don't like, only because they've won so much. However, it's a completely different team. You got Vrabel there as a new coach. He's a Buckeye. But, of course, you got C.J. Stroud on the other side, quarterback, and former Buckeye as well. I don't mind Houston only because of Stroud. And their defense looked amazing last week. I know Houston had a few interceptions and maybe some fumbles, but their defense looked good. If their defense plays like they did last week, man, they might upset this. Lincoln picks Houston here. The rest of us have the Patriots. I went back and forth. I had a feeling that one of the AFC games is going to be an upset. Remember, I picked Buffalo. I almost went Houston and had Buffalo lose, but I made the pick for the Bills. I'm going to stick with it. But I would love to see Houston win this, but only Lincoln picked them to actually win. And then the Sunday night game, I think this is a 3 o'clock game. This is a 6:30 game Eastern Standard Time. You got the Los Angeles Rams. Now, this little figure here is when they were in St. Louis. That's why the color's a little different. Los Angeles Rams traveling to Chicago, Soldier Field. I'm sure it's going to be a cold game for sure. This is interesting. Ethan and I have the Rams winning. Brady and Lincoln went with the Bears. Now, I watched the Packers game. I don't like the Packers. I was glad to see them lose. Packers-Bears game last week, which was awesome. Amazing comeback for the Bears. I just don't know if they can do this again. The only thing is that the Rams barely beat the Panthers. It came down to the wire. All great games last weekend. This will be interesting. I think the Rams got through scare with the Panthers. I think they're going to be more ready to play. This, honestly, really any of these could go either way, any of these games. This one, it's going to be interesting. We split there, like I said. I went with the Rams. Ethan went with the Rams. Brady, Lincoln have the Bears. I'll be happy with either one of them. I'm fine with that. I'd probably rather maybe the Bears a little bit just because the Rams won a couple years ago. Enjoy divisional round. Enjoy the weekend, Saturday and Sunday games. We'll be back next week picking the AFC and NFC championships. Thanks for watching.